Hi everybody, welcome back to Keeping It Real with Marilyn and Steve. Today we're working on using up some of the pumpkins that we had left over from last year's harvest. And what we're going to be doing with some of those is making some pumpkin bread today. So come along with us while we make some yummy pumpkin bread and share this recipe with you. So I'll make sure that I get the ingredients listed here on the screen, so don't worry about trying to follow along as I put them in, and I'll also make sure that I put a link to the full recipe in the description of the video as well. So let's get going on getting these things together. So first I'm going to start with 2/3 of a cup of shortening. Now yes, I am using shortening, I'm not using oil. If you try to substitute oil for this, I cannot guarantee how the texture is going to come out. So shortening, 2/3 of a cup. And then we are going to blend that in with 2 2/3 cups of sugar. Okay, so what I'm using is my grandmother's pastry blender. Now you can do this with a fork, with a spoon, whatever works best for you. This is just what I've used for years. So for me, it makes it easier for me to cut the sugar and the shortening together. So let me get this all cut in and then we'll go on to the next ingredient. Now that the shortening and sugar are all blended together, we're going to add 4 eggs. You can do them in a separate bowl. You can add them directly in, whatever works best for you. I'm just going to put them right into the mix. Being very careful not to get any shells in, of course. There we go. So that's our 4 eggs, and we're just going to mix those in with our sugar and our shortening. Now I'm going to add in 2 cups of pumpkin. This is pumpkin puree that I've made myself from our pumpkins from last fall's harvest, but you could substitute the fresh pumpkin and use a 16-ounce can of pureed pumpkin. The thing you want to make sure is that it is actually pureed pumpkin, not pumpkin pie filling, because pumpkin pie filling has other things mixed in with it, spices and whatnot. And we're going to be adding our own for this, and the taste is a bit different, and so is the texture. So we're going to get in our 2 cups of pureed pumpkin, and then we're going to put in 2/3 of a cup of water. And it looks real watery at this second, but trust me, once we get our dry ingredients in, it'll be a lot better. So let me get this all stirred up, and I'll be right back. So now that we have all those ingredients mixed, we're going to add in 3 1/3 cups of all-purpose flour. Now, the recipe that I'll link in the description is going to let you know what changes you need to make if you're using self-rising flour, but for this recipe, I'm using all-purpose flour. So 3 1/3 cups, get that in there, and then we're going to add the rest of our dry ingredients. So the first thing I'm going to do with the flour is add another 1½ teaspoons of salt. And then I am going to add some baking powder. And we're going to do 1/2 teaspoon of the baking powder. And then we're going to do baking soda. And that I am going to do 2 full teaspoons. And for our last 2 ingredients, we're going to add a teaspoon of cinnamon and a teaspoon of ground cloves. Let me get this all mixed together and I'll be right back. now that I have the bread mix all together, I've got 3 pans that I'm going to be spreading this between. Now, these are 3 8.5 by 4.5 by 2.5 bread pans. You can either use the 3 or you can use 2 9 by 5 by 3 pans. So whatever size you have, you can make it work. Today we're just using the 3 8.5 inch pans. So I'm going to get this split between the 3 pans. And in the meantime, while I'm getting this into the pans, I've got my oven preheating to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So now that we have this evenly divided between the 3 pans, we're going to put these in the oven, like I said, at 350 degrees for about 1 hour and 10 minutes, and then we'll be checking on them to see if they're done. Since I'm cooking these in my wood cook oven, I'm going to be checking these at about 30 minutes, giving them a spin, and checking them again at 1 hour. So it's been just under 1 hour, and because I'm doing these in the wood cook stove, I like to keep a good close eye on them, so I'm going to test this. And it's still coming out a bit sticky. So test another one. Probably going to hear my dogs barking in the background. Not quite done, almost. So I'm going to spin these around, give them about another 10 minutes, and then I'll be back. All right, we're going to test these one more time. And that one is done. Check this one. You can see I'm checking them right in the middle at the thickest part of the bread and making sure that the toothpick comes out clean. And that one's done. All right, I'm going to get them all out of the oven and up on a rack to cool. So now that I have these out of the oven, I'm going to let them sit for 10 to 15 minutes before I take them out of the pans. That way they're less likely to break when I take them out. And then I'm going to let them sit until they're fully cool before I wrap them, because you don't want them to sweat and get all moist inside anything that you're wrapping them in. So I ended up making a total of 7 pumpkin breads yesterday, and it was late before everything was cooled and out of the pans. So I'm back with you the following morning. I have my coffee, and I'm going to have some pumpkin bread with that this morning. So let's give this a cut right up the middle. So the thing I like about this bread is that it stores very well. The other loaves are wrapped and in the freezer, and they'll store in the freezer for easily up to 1 year as long as they're packaged properly. So I'm going to take a slice of this and we're going to give it a taste test and see how it is. Absolutely delicious. If you liked this recipe and this video, please make sure you leave a comment below if you'd like to see us do more videos like this, or if you have a favorite pumpkin recipe that you'd like to share. I'm sure everybody would love to know what that is. And remember, our recipes are all available on our webpage. We'll have a link in the description for that. They are available ad-free, so feel free to visit our webpage, check out some of the other recipes we have, and most of them will also link back to a video if you're more of a visual person and want to see how we actually make the recipe instead of just reading it. And they are printable as well. So thanks again, everybody. It was great spending some more time with you. Take care.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoy our videos and want to help us out, please like this video and subscribe. If you know someone who would like our videos, make sure to share, as this really helps our channel out. Again, thanks, and see you soon.